Excellent. Okay, welcome guys to another meeting. And I was thinking we'd start with some of the stuff from last week first, or last meeting, I should say. And one of them was this idea about the domain that we're still struggling with. Was anyone able to make any progress with the SALT formulas, guys, with the organization? So we can work out what to do about the domain? Oh, let me share my screen in the meantime. No progress in that area. So we have given it a while. We've given it obviously now, I think 6 weeks and no response. So what should we do? Should we just go ahead with an idea of, just take a domain and just go with it? Everyone's strangely quiet.
I think that's fine.
So what we're talking about here is what we should have here. And I think the vast majority are suggesting we should have SALT formulas. And I think I'm the only one who's in two minds about that, because I'm so used to seeing SALT stack formulas everywhere that I'm just wondering, what we should do here. Sorry, saltformulas.org. Any thoughts? Should we finalize this?
I was not in the previous discussion about that. I prefer stack formulas because the organization is named like that, but I don't know, now the project has changed its name too.
It would be a lot of trouble to have both, to keep both, or use a CNAME or something from SaltStack to SALT formulas. So
what you're saying is take both domains, and which one would we use as a primary domain? Which one should be the...
If the project is moving to SALT, I guess that SALT formulas is the one that makes sense to follow the project, the general project. And keeping the other one, SaltStack formulas, as a CNAME or as a reference, because it's what we are accustomed at the moment.
Okay, but then to use the primary as saltformulas.org, yeah? That's what you're suggesting?
Yeah, for me, it makes sense. I mean, I like the name we have now, but it's the one, SALT, if the project is moving to SALT, it makes sense to follow the project.
Oh, no, when we did speak with, as Sage mentioned a couple of weeks ago, we're still good to use SaltStack formulas. We don't have to change, or at least not for now. We've been given an allowance for that.
I understand that we are not forced or we don't need to, but I mean, people usually try to group things using the same name or something like that because it's easier to remember. So newcomers to SALT will try to search for SALT formulas. So if the project is moving there, it would be a good idea to move with them. And keeping the secondary CNAME would be helpful for the time being, and or for people that tries to find SaltStack formulas as we used to do in the past.
Okay, so that's another idea. So use SALT formulas as the main, and have maybe a redirect from saltstackformulas.org to SALT formulas. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Is David able to give any suggestions? Is he available?
Yeah, I guess my point that I've made in the past is that, the project is now a SALT project. And even now, I think and like Javier said, newcomers, almost the name SaltStack doesn't really mean anything to them. So yeah, I feel it would be sort of looking backwards to call ourselves SaltStack formulas. But yeah, I mean, well, having the two names is almost the best of both worlds, you could say.
Okay. Eric, you think that's a good argument there?
Yeah, I was good with what Javier said.
Yeah.
I think the best would be a redirection from SaltStack to SALT.
All right. Okay. So the idea then is we should move towards getting, or let's get saltformulas.org. And is it .org? Is that okay as the suffix there? The domain type?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, because It should be the sort of one of the cheaper ones and generally does the job, yeah?
Yep.
Okay, and we don't need to try and do anything else with the salt formulas, guys, because we're not getting any responses there.
That's right.
In that case as well, in terms of Libera chat, should we also, because at the moment we've got salt stack formulas, should we get salt formulas there as well? I don't know if it's available. I haven't even looked. Oh no, I haven't got it here. Okay. I think you can go in from here as well. I'm not in my normal IRC. Let's see. Yeah, there's no one there, it looks like. So we could grab that as well, perhaps. Oh no, someone's got it. Don't recognize the name. Hello? I seem to lost everyone. I can't hear anyone.
No, I'm here.
We're here.
Yeah, I'm here as well.
All right, so I'm asking, in terms of our presence there in IRC, should we be trying to get that as well if we can?
If we can, why not?
Yeah, there's a way, I think, to bridge between IRC chats as well, so that we can bridge it all into the rest of the stuff. Okay, that's not so important, but the idea is let's start using salt formulas as, not now, give me a moment. It's block. Right, so yeah, we'll move to all salt formulas. Okay, so that's that issue. Let's close that. Now, the next issue I wanted to ask for some help with. I haven't had much time to work through the failures from this week. So what it is as I mentioned last time around, I did a few comparisons between our failures. Okay, so some history here because some haven't been around last meeting. You know, when I was running the weekly master branch testing, we was generally passing for a number of weeks. So we're looking at, you know, the last sort of 3 months have been pretty good. But about 4 weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks, I started noticing quite a few failures across formulas. And a few of those we've been able to manage, we've fixed over the last couple of weeks. So for example, we've finally figured this out. That was actually a change in the Docker image for Tumbleweed, which had removed the package. So when we added that package back into our pre-salted image, or no, did we, sorry, I'm trying to remember now. Did we add it to the image or did we add it to the actual formula? The formula.
No, we added to the formula, OpenSSL, you mean?
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, we added them to the formula because the rationale there was that it's a requirement for the application to run correctly. So it makes sense to be installed by the formula if it's not in the base distro.
Yeah, that's correct. So if it's removed from the base distro, then we need to cover that in our formulas. So this was removed only recently from the Tumbleweed Docker image, the base image. So we have to now, the formula has to cover installing that. So that was fixed from the actual formula side. And just a side note on that is myself and Javier were talking about some ideas about how we could improve the builder itself to catch these sort of situations out, because we didn't know that the package had gone missing. And it was actually, I was asking on the SUSE chat on IRC, and actually one of the SaltStack, someone who talks in the IRC channel for Salt as well, he was there and he gave me some feedback, and he mentioned that he did a kind of comparison of the images and he saw that that package was missing. So what we've done here, actually not here, the idea is as we generate each pre-salted image, the last stage of it is we'll extract the list of packages for each of the pre-salted images and keep track of that over time. So if we go to this one, for example, you can see it gives you an output of, well, it starts with the version report. So you can have a look and see if anything changes there over time. And then it gives, using Salt itself, it goes through and pulls out all the packages installed on the system with the version numbers. And if we'd had this now in the first place, we would have seen that that package was missing. What's the package name again? OpenSSL. you see it's no longer here. And we would have noticed that at this stage over here, when the pre-salted image was built, we would have seen in this text file that it would have adjusted and said, okay, the diff would have shown that it's no longer available. And the final part of the text file also contains a list of the pip packages as well, which also helps to figure out what's going on. One of the things obviously we mentioned a few weeks back is we're downgrading all of our Ginger 2 across all of our pre-salted images to the latest version in the major version 2. Because version 3 still, we've got issues where salt isn't working with that 100%, at least from our formulas perspective. But this is one of the ways we're going to alleviate that problem, is we'll be able to keep track of which packages are changing in the base images, or at least in our pre-salted images once we finish building them. And that will hopefully help catch these problems out. So yeah, like I said, going back to here, this has been fixed, which is good. So I can actually remove this from this side. I haven't had a chance to update this, very little time to do all these things. I'm still having a problem. So if you don't mind, we can just work through this together and just make a final decision and kind of get all the CI passing again, because, it's a lot of strange failures only recently. And I'd just like to make a decision one way or another, see if we can, figure something out with regards to these. So with the DeepC, it's the same Fedora 34. And a quick note on that as well, just got reminded, is we spoke about this 2 weeks ago that we were going to deprecate these end-of-life platforms. And my plan was to wait for the new release of Salt and do everything together. But since we were having some problems in some formulas with, 1604, PPAs not being available, or maybe some of the other apt sources and stuff, I just deprecated them now and I've pushed that out across all formulas. So we no longer have 1604 or Fedora 32 CI running across our formulas. So back to here, this is Fedora 34. And the problem it's having is the same one, if we can find it. Just want a final decision on this because I don't think I've got time to fix all these problems, but it's having a problem installing a certain package. And does it give us a bit more info here? Not here, it doesn't, but I think I collected it here, did I not? No, I haven't. So any idea why that might be failing? A particular package? Or should we dig into that or just disable the instance? Any thoughts about that?
It's a package, so it seems to be a dependency issue, either a dependency issue on other packages.
What was it called? Python 3 tox.
Yep.
Why you would try to install it, this package is for unit tests, no?
I don't know enough about this formula. I haven't really played with the DeepC formula at all. Okay. Let's have a look here. I mean, we're not even getting. Oh, here we go. So, but there's no real error unless it's another one where recently we had one where the actual package name, like we had in the IP tables. We had a situation on the IP tables formula, and that was another one that was fixed in the last couple of weeks, as in since the last meeting, which was failing. And the situation was interesting because the IP tables package wasn't installing anymore. And it turned out that the IP tables package is no longer, or when you try to install IP tables on Fedora 34, it will actually use this package name instead, IP tables compat. And if Salt is trying to install a package and that specific package isn't installed, then it comes up as a failed test. So all we had to do was upgrade this to use IP tables compat instead, and then it all started working. So the actual installation was working, but because it couldn't find the IP tables package specifically installed, it's saying that this state has failed. Yeah, so we had to just upgrade it to what was actually being installed instead. So it could be, because we're not getting another clear error here, it could be just that the package has been renamed or something. Packages. Maybe it's no longer named the same. Sorry, a bit slow here. Yeah, you see, it seems to have gone. So maybe this is the new name for it, and that'll all it be. If we just upgrade it to that. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to look at this. Normally I'll do this, but no, can't see what it is. I'm thinking just disable this one because I don't know the formula. And again, running short on time, no idea what to do there, unless someone can see it.
No, I don't even know what the DeepC app is.
Yeah. So that's been fixed. So let's not worry about that. And IP tables has been fixed. So we're good there. So what we're saying here for the DeepC is just disable. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I also noticed that in Debian there's nothing named Python 3 docs. So.
Well, it is on Fedora, so I'm not sure what's happening there. But like I said, I don't know the formula at all, and I don't think I've got time to really fix that. Okay, so going back over here, these are very recent. I mean, this is like literally first time I've ever seen these failures on this formula, Linus formula. It just seems like a repo issue. If we can, and I've seen a few formulas start having some problems there. It just looks like the key needs, the key's expired. So that might just start working again, by the next time we do the tests. I don't know if there's any action required there. What would you normally suggest, if we've got an expired key? To go looking for?
There are two or three things there that I don't know how are they going to be addressed and solved. One is that Debian is deprecating the Boolean remote keys with APT and things like that.
It's sorry, I didn't catch you. It's doing what?
It's deprecating using remote keys downloaded with URLs or things like that using APT key.
Okay.
The idea now is that they are going to use trusted rings. So you basically download the key or a ring. I don't remember. I haven't read a lot of that. Just know that they are deprecating that.
Right. So it could be something more from a SART perspective. Because like I said, I've seen a few repos now beginning to fail. So you're saying it could be a deeper issue, maybe in SART itself.
Yeah. Either Debian is not using is not using more than method, so perhaps it's failing there or something like that.
So what would we do in the meantime? Is there a workaround we can apply if we come across this error?
I don't know.
Just to understand, we have a test running every day, and we use this system of PKG of using the key on an HTTP URL, and we don't have any problem. I don't know if it's an interesting information. Running on Debian 9 or 12 or 10.
So what are you specifically doing? You're testing the URLs?
Yes, it's just in our SAL code. No, in our SAL code we use pkg repo.manage. Yeah. And we have the name with the GPG key on an HTTP URL, and it works. It doesn't fail on our internal code.
Right. So this particular formula, or just mean you mean in general?
No, this particular formula.
Right.
But okay. I was reacting to what Javier said about Debian deprecating
APT key.
Yes.
As a method, yeah. And
it seems it still works on my code.
I know that it still works. I don't know when they are going to deprecate it. I read it sort of a couple of weeks ago, very quick, and noticed that. One other thing that I saw a lot is that if you try to download keys from a key server, the common key servers, PGP, pool, and all those, they tend to fail. I usually try to use the Ubuntu one because I have less failures there. But for me, when adding repositories or packages, the best way is to download the key with a URL, not just trying to search the key in a key server because they usually tend to fail or to time out, and it's a pain for packages. The one that you mentioned is using yeah. Okay.
Right. So in the meantime, is there any particular action we can take in respect to this? I mean, this one's using a key URL.
Now, does the server has another? Sorry, in that URL,
Yeah.
in the key URL, is
Yep.
there another key for that repo?
Where would I find that?
Go to the URL without the last part.
Without, okay, so if it
Yeah.
allows you to,
Yeah, there.
if it even allows you to
I'm
look at
trying
this.
to remember. There's a repo, some sort of Ubuntu repo that has a deprecated key and a new key, and you need both to get the repo working. Oh, you cannot get the keys.
Yeah, no, this one's not allowing browsing on that, so
Yep.
won't be able to tell. Okay, so there's something coming up, maybe you're saying, that we need to maybe be aware of, but otherwise really just going through and checking them regularly should work, as Eric was mentioning.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not going to worry about this particular formula so much just now because it only just started failing, and maybe it's just one of those, you know, maybe the key just needs to be up, renewed and stuff, and it'll be okay. So I'm not going to worry about that one too much. I'll keep an eye on that one for next time. The salt formula was interesting because we've got our Ginger fix on all of them, and this one's suddenly started failing, you know, struggling with the not resolving what Ginger variable salt is. So I'm not sure what's going there. Again, it's just a new failure, so I'm not going to worry about that too much right now, because our pre-salted images should be using a lower version of Ginger, and I'm not sure why it hasn't reached that particular. I'll have to look into that to why it hasn't reached that pre-salted image. So let's not worry about that one so much. These have been failing for a while. And Suricata, Eric, were you working on that formula at all? Was that, I can't remember who was.
On which one? Suricata? No.
Yeah, no, you don't know that one. All right, I think I'm just going to disable those two because of time constraints. It's having a problem with a pip installation there, and you know that's I don't have time to really dig into that. PHP has been fixed because we're no longer using 1604, so I don't need to worry about that one. That's fixed. And these, okay, I'm getting a few where we're getting problems when we're just checking the service with inspec, and I've had this a few times. I can't make it happen all the time, but it sees that the service is there and the salt state said it's running, but by the time inspec runs, it no longer sees that the service is running anymore. And I've got two thoughts about this. Is the main one is, should we just run this last check conditionally? So for the ones it's failing on, just allow them to fail because the salt states are passing, or how would you suggest working around this problem here? So if I go to the actual run here, where is it? Do you get what I'm asking? So if we get to the bottom here, you'll see the states are
Yes.
the states are passing, and the service is running. Get to the inspect test, and it's now.
Is it a difference between real services and an alias to the services?
You know, I vaguely remember fixing this in the past, and it was, you know, working fine for a number of months again, and it's only again recently something is having a problem where it can't. I don't think it's using an alias. No, I think it's using. I believe it's just, yeah, it's just by the name, and it's fine. But by the time
strange that the salt code doesn't fail.
There are a few things there. I've seen something similar sometimes with the Nginx formula. In one case, inspec was using a testing method where I'm trying to remember, but in CentOS, it was doing something like a AUXW pipe grep Nginx. And for example, in Debian, it was returning Nginx. and in Fedora or CentOS, it was returning nginx : so that was failing because the test was different. It might be something related to that. The other thing that might be that I saw in the past in some situations is where Salt says that everything is okay because when Salt installs the application, it sees the service running, but then the service dies.
Yes, this is what.
And when
Yeah, this is what I think is happening here. Yeah, go on.
So the issue there would be to check if the installation is correct and the service is correctly configured, and it's dying because of an issue in the configuration. Is just a problem with the testing environment.
Yeah, so that would be actually looking at the reasons behind why it's failing. I mean, I haven't had the chance to run this, so let's quickly, I'll run this in the background and we can have a little inspection of it ourselves to see whether the service is, dying in that time by the time it runs. But sometimes actually when I run it locally in the past, when I've had this situation, it'll work fine locally. And then it's when you go back to running it in the CI that it's no longer working. And what I'm asking is, if we're sure that it's kind of working, should we just use this last test as a kind of like a conditional only for all the platforms where it is working, and the ones that aren't, just don't bother running this last test? It's not nice, but I'm just saying is I don't want to disable the whole Fedora instance when it's actually working and it's only one of the tests that's not working, so we can just work around it. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd rather try to see what's going on.
Ideally,
I can even volunteer to try to check it.
If you want to, you're welcome.
I have never used that formula, but I can try to see. I'd like to know what's going on.
Yeah, I like that as well, but just time constraints, and we just don't have enough to go through all of that. And that's why I'm asking is, instead of disabling the instance completely, would it be okay if I just arranged for this to be ignored on these two Fedoras that it's not, that particular test isn't working on?
Let me try to give a look at them.
Okay, I've got it here. Look, here you go. There you go. We got it here. So let's log into it for a minute. And sorry, 1 second. Yeah, I've got a problem here, so I have to always do this. So let's just go in for a minute, and then system. Right. Oh, right. Yep. This is an issue we've come across where sometimes in Docker containers, certain services aren't allowed to run, and so probably they die very quickly. So it did start running, but because it's a Docker container, it's not allowed. So in that case, I have an example of it.
Okay, but it seems to be a condition that we can set. So perhaps we can set that in the testing pillar.
What, set this actual condition? Yeah.
Yep.
Do you know how to?
No, I've never in my life used that, that formula or package, but I can give a look at it.
1 second. We've got an example of this in our organization where we've had this before. So if there's a way of getting around it where we allow it to run anyway in Docker, I mean, that's what we're saying here, is finding a way to allow it to run anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. So this is a couple of examples. I did it before. See, so many things being done. So let's have a look. So same thing was happening again.
You already solved the problem.
I already solved the problem. I completely forgot about it. See, I did it for OpenSUSE, where same thing was happening, and it's a bit ugly. But if it's a platform family is SUSE and the virtual subtype, so you look at the grain there, and you can see if it's a container, then actually it's not trying to start the service. See, so this is more of a workaround than a solution. But if you're suggesting we can still make it run by
apparently, I understand that you can set the container condition virtualization equals not container.
Yep.
And I don't know if that will make the service stop if it is a container. So we should test for it as dead or something like that. I'm not sure.
Right. Okay. This one actually I could have just fixed like this, where I could have just added Fedora to this list over here. So it's up to you. Either I can just do a quick fix here. See, I had fixed it before, hadn't had a chance to check this because lack of time. But if we can't get an actual proper fix like you're suggesting, I'll just simply add Fedora here to this list on both sides, and that will get around this problem.
Yeah, makes sense. Let
So,
me give a look at it.
If you want to let me know, just let me know whether you want to have a go at trying to fix it, because then that way we can fix this thing for Suze as well and get that working
Okay.
again. Yeah, so that's the
Okay,
ring tools formula. So that'd be good. But
Okay.
otherwise, I'm going to use a workaround as I just suggested now. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I will forget now.
Okay, that'd be great. That'd be helpful. Okay, so that's that formula there. Getting some anything to do with Red Hat 7 now, which started getting a few little glitches there as well. I think it's to do with the. Let's have a look again if I can find it. What did it pass this time? I know there's a few here. So it's here, for example, the Nginx formula as well. Getting some repo issues, I think it is. Yeah, there's a lot of repo stuff going on here where it's struggling to install a certain package because, let's see. Oh, no, this one's slightly different. So it's having a dependency issue here. So that'd have to be solved from the formula. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a formulation.
Okay, so that one's a formula issue there. Need to figure out the package versions to get that working. Okay. Anyone fancy taking that one on?
I can take a look at it. I thought that it was working. That's recent?
Yeah, very recent, only last week.
Okay, let me check it because I'm using that formula actively now, so I can give a look.
I've got one here in the vault as well. David, if you're still around, I haven't checked the list. Getting a Suze problem over here. What is the problem? Let's see. Right, this one here, GPG can't connect to the agent. I haven't come across this issue before. Any ideas?
No. Vault formula.
I don't know if it's a dependency that's required or something.
Okay. What would you like to
have a look at it?
Yeah, you're okay to look at that one? That's the OpenSUSE there on the Vault formula. All right, can you just give me 1 second? I just need to, just 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, and that's generally it. I think there was one more here. Yeah, again, repo issues over here on the Power DNS formula. This is the repo issues we've been having. So again, this time key retrieval failed. And it's strange because these are all happening at the same time. So I'm just wondering whether there's something, going on where we're getting these problems now. Maybe just glitches, temporary. Try again next week.
Could be.
Yeah.
For the Vault formula, is installing the apt repository of HashiCorp. The GPG. Okay, I will. Okay, I don't use the Vault formula, but I use the HashiCorp apt repository, and I don't have problem. But I'm not sure we use the GPG key, so it's different. Okay.
Vault's working on everything.
I think that's a repository problem there. It looks like something on the in the container itself.
And now, would that be
something specific to?
But then the container is the base image, so shouldn't the formula resolve it if it needs an additional package or whatever it might need, or an additional configuration item?
Yeah, but if it's new, if it's a new problem, then it needs to be looked at. I can look into it.
Yeah. Okay.
But I've never used SUSE before.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
not for like 20 years.
Either way, whichever one, whether we can fix it or disable it so that we can get all the CI running again properly. That would be great. And yeah, that's pretty much it on this topic over here. So if we can just solve these problems or work around them, and then we've got a nice clean CI again across all formulas. This was one of the things that was blocking me from getting all of the changes for our documentation out there as well, because I need to run it with semantic release in order to get the files in place and to do the ASCII dot conversion, which is done during the semantic release phase. All right, let's move on from this issue. And this one is a very interesting one. It's got some history as well. So what happened is we got a PR, which we've merged in. And the idea, that's not the one. I'm looking at the wrong thing again. The next one over here, this is it. So we had a PR over here, which is about using relative state includes. And the idea is rather than using, tuple root or tuple dir, or even the name specifically, is to take advantage of the fact SALT now allows you to use relative includes using either dot or even dot. And bringing this into this formula first. But this when we was going through it, we found that there was an old issue in the template formula a long time back, which discussed doing the same thing, or discussed this idea about how to do all these things. And there was an issue there was a PR in SaltStack at the time, which we were waiting to see get merged and reach the versions that we were using at the time in Salt, in our CI and stuff, the versions that we were supporting. But this was merged in a long time ago, back in version 2018 of Salt. And what it allows you to, like we said, is it allows you to avoid having to use tuple dir or tuple root, and instead we can use the relative includes instead. And likewise over here, no need to do that. We can use 2 dots. Now, this is interesting because we've had an issue about how our formulas can be used from any directory within the Salt file tree, not just in the places expected to be. And this might solve the problem by using this. Did you get the point I'm asking? What I'm making here is instead of using a specific formula name here or a specific folder name here, or using tuple root or using tuple dir, we just use the relatives instead, relative includes.
So this could be backported on all formulas?
Yes, this is the question we're now looking at.
The issue was raised by a guy with a very interesting situation.
Yeah,
he mentioned that the OpenSUSE, if I recall correctly, already has a Salt formula called packages. And he wanted to use both, the SUSE ones and the one that we provide. And the only way that he could do that was renaming the public formula. So he suggested this solution of using relative path, so he could move the formula to another name and get it still working.
I saw this Pierre. I didn't realize he was doing that for map.ninja too. And that's good, great.
I'd like to try this out on a number of formulas. That's what I'm basically asking is, can we try this out? Because if this is really going to work and maybe clear a lot of issues that we've got with importing and stuff, I just feel like there's something in the back of my mind again, because it's been a while. This is back in 2019, we was having this initial discussion in the template formula. There was some place this didn't work. I feel like I came across
Wasn't Salt SSH or something like that?
Oh, that's a good one. We need to check this with Salt SSH.
Who was using it a lot?
I still use it sometimes. I can test, but then my Salt SSH isn't working properly since 2003 either. Daniel's using Salt SSH quite a bit. So that's going to be a test.
I started to use it to my personal use, but not a lot. I don't use it a lot. I don't use it at work.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised I don't think Salt SSH would struggle with this though. Not with these relative includes. So that's a good suggestion. It should be a formula which is used with Salt SSH, which actually is at the end user. I was thinking a formula that actually, because I want to try it on another formula which is being used across many platforms, which has, I think packages does do Windows, doesn't it? Actually, let me see here. I can tell you which one it uses. So if we go to packages, No, there, yeah. So it's using
Yeah,
everything.
Windows.
It's using Windows as well, but it's not using BSDs. I know I've got one with testing open BSD. Let's take that one. Okay, which formula is this? This is good. What formula? Oh, that's the salt formula, isn't it? Yeah, the salt formula would salt formula. I just feel like that's a bit risky to do the salt formula too soon. It's one of the main ones. Which formula is this now? Golang. Okay, I could do it here. Because what I'd like to do is do it on a formula where there's testing across all platforms, or as many as possible, so that if it catches, we want to catch problems early before we start suggesting this as the way to do it across all formulas. Because if it does work, that will save a lot of problems, I believe. No need to hack, paths anymore, or look at tuple-dir and all the rest of it. I mean, is that generally a good vibe? Do people think that's a good idea to work towards this?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So just we'd need to try it out somewhere. Maybe I was thinking, should I just have a quick blast at it now and see what happens? Or no, I can do it after the meeting. We don't have time really right now to do that. But yeah, so go for these relative includes, and if they're working well, try them on a few formulas maybe. And if good, then get that through to the template formula as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Service. And that'll go along with the one we were talking about last time. Let's see if I've got it here still. Where is it? Where's the one we talked about service enabled? Was that the keep alive? Yeah, keep alive formula. Let's see, I believe it was here, wasn't it? So this is a second change, which we could be trying across formulas at the same time. As we discussed last time, service running, it is here, isn't it? Yep. So Eric, you weren't here last time, but we were discussing that there's a good reason to separate. So instead of using enabled true over here, we separate the state for service enabled because there's a particular use case which doesn't work if you're trying to restart the service, but the service is not enabled. So by keeping it separate, it works in all use cases. So trying these two ideas out, that's what I'm saying, yeah? In some of these formulas, and then if they're good, get them into the template. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know the particular use case, but it's okay.
Yeah, we discussed it somewhat last time.
Okay, no problem.
And go along with that. Let's see. So this is just slightly a side issue, but it was something that it was about YAML lint itself. Did you see this, David? In terms of they're suggesting to revert the change that brought this problem in. So we were having a problem.
I did see that. Yeah.
Are you thinking about agreeing with that so that we can get that?
Yes, I was gonna do a PR actually.
All right. Okay.
If I get around to it.
Right. So that would be good. We get that fixed as well in case we have any situations where I don't think we got caught out by this bug, did we, in the formulas itself?
I can't remember exactly what happened, but I think the intention was to use the file matching within pre-commit rather than the built-in one in YAML. Or did we pin the version or something like that to a version that worked?
Yeah, you see, it's been a while back, so I can't remember exactly the situation, but basically there was a different, there was something merged in over here was it to avoid directories with the name YAML in them? Was that the case?
Well, it was to allow them, not to avoid them. It was to allow them, and that messed up all directory matching or something.
Yeah. Yeah,
I have a feeling that we pinned the version.
Oh yeah, to less than that. So you're saying in our actual formulas, we're using a lower version of YAML lint. Is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Where is... Yep, you got a lower version there. So basically, if we get that fixed in YAML lint, then we can go to a higher version of YAML lint to avoid...
Yes, although, I mean, there's another issue where, because we did this kind of migration into pre-commit, we should, I think I've mentioned this before, we should really be using the mechanisms within pre-commit for file matching rather than
This over here, for example, yeah.
relying, yeah, exactly, rather than relying on the linters themselves to find files, because, well, there are many benefits to letting pre-commit do it.
It's a performance issue, isn't it? So
Yeah, well, it saves on unnecessary work, yeah. But it's more consistent as well, so we know where we are.
so
We're not
everything,
depending on each individual implementation.
so would we need so what we're saying here is at the moment we're currently using so would we still have the YAML lint file here?
We
Where
would
is
have the
it?
file,
Right,
but not using it for file matching, like these ignores and includes.
So
We
these,
would use it.
yeah,
Yeah, we basically need to move those into pre-commit.
into the pre-commit section here.
Yeah, although even some of those can be got rid of as well, because pre-commit only checks files which are in Git anyway. So the things like node modules and .kitchen wouldn't even be, and none of those would be needed anyway.
So it'd only be the ones that are actually checked into Git that would have to be ignored.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, but that was stopping us, wasn't it? That particular bug in YAML lint was holding us up.
Well, I think we just didn't get around to making this change.
Okay. All right, so that's just a little side issue there to try and get that moving so that we can maybe move this on as well. Move this forward. All right. Okay, so we've covered that issue as well. And
just to come back to something, I had a look at that Linus formula.
Yeah.
It looks like it had an expired key. I downloaded the latest key, and it looks like they've just renewed the key for another 10 years. So
if we just retried these now,
I think it's a temporary thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me just close those a second. Let's just might as well just do these now and just see what happens if we retry them while we're. Yeah, I mean, when I get a one-off failure like this, I don't normally see it as a big problem that's going to last for a long time, especially if it's something like that. It could be something temporary. So hopefully that should solve those. But the ones that are sticking around for a while, like the DeepSeek's been failing for a while now. Suricata's been failing for a while. I just want to get these cleared out, as I said, so that we could. So this is another one we skipped over. I think this was another repo issue again. Yeah, I mean, cannot retrieve MetaLink for repo. I don't have much familiarity with the Red Hat, Red Hat side of things. So anyone familiar with what could be going on over here? I'd have to basically dig into it to figure out what's going on. So it's struggling to install a package, but mainly because we've got some sort of repo, a misconfiguration or something going on. No ideas there?
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
I don't use it.
Right, okay. Again, I'll keep an eye on that and see if I can dig into that at some point and get that figured out. All right. That's the main issues, I think. For now, we've covered those. Anything else people want to bring up? Oh, there's one more thing as well. There will be an OpenSUSE 15.3's come out. So we're going to try and support that as soon as possible. Now, we could jump ahead. So if I go to, let's see if I can find it like this. Not like that. If I go to the Salt image builder, I'll find it. So I've got a question here where as 3003.1 is released, let me get to my file first. We've got 15.2 being built, but 15.3 has been released for OpenSUSE Leap. And if I get to the link over here, it hasn't been enabled. Like there's no direct link at the moment over here for installing Salt. I believe, I'm pretty confident that if we pointed it at that, though, it would install Salt and we'd be getting testing on 15.3 a bit earlier, if you like. And I'm not sure if that's such a great, I mean, that's actually what we did when we got to 15.1, we pointed at 15.0 for a while. And I think we did the same thing with 15.2, we pointed at 15.1. What do you think of the idea? Because 15.3 is available, should we point it at 15.2 for the meanwhile so that we actually get some testing on that going from the pre-salted images side of things?
Aren't we getting that test done on Tumbleweed?
What's that? Sorry?
Doesn't Tumbleweed, isn't Tumbleweed a rolling distribution? So we should, testing on Tumbleweed, we should be already okay for lib 15.3?
I don't know. There's always a slight difference between the two. Obviously, Tumbleweed's got really, like, there's quite a few differences. I guess if we did a quick diff, let me see if I can get to something quickly. Where am I going? Salt image builder, package versions. What am I doing? Oh, OPSU. So if we was to compare, for example, this one with this one, the package versions, I mean, it's fairly different. You see, I mean, even the Python version is different, which might be different. Obviously, with the newest version, I'm sure they'll be using 3.8 on OpenSUSE 15.3. But I mean, the set of packages and stuff, there's quite significant differences. And I'm not sure. I'm just saying is what we've done in the past, we have actually, gone ahead, if you like, and installed from the previous repo while we're waiting for that to be updated. And I'm saying is, should we just do the same thing again now?
I don't see why not.
If it works and if it makes a pre-salted image, should we, put that in? And we don't get rid of 15.2 because obviously that's in support for now. But when it's, it will have both basically, have 15.2 and 3 where they're working.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, if it does work, or is there some problem I'm missing? That's what I'm asking.
No, I don't see a problem. And now that you mentioned that, I read yesterday night that Rocky was released the first public available version. For those that are not aware, Rocky is the back-to-back compatible version of
CentOS
what
8.
was CentOS 8. Yeah. Instead of being the new stream version of CentOS, which is a rolling version in the future, Rocky attempts to be a stable version like CentOS 7 was, or CentOS 8 was before this move to a rolling distro. I don't know if we should add it for people that is using or tries to use a stable CentOS, or we should wait until somebody asks for it.
The only query I had like last time was, is it going to work with our kitchen testing? Or are we going to have to make some changes to the testing so it actually recognizes Rocky as CentOS? Will it work, basically? That's the question.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess that relies on train, right?
Yeah.
We should probably check what's going on there.
Train platforms.os. I think it's not called platforms.os. It's called something like that. I've got it in my other side, but basically platforms.os or something like that. The file is called, I'm not going to find it like this. I'd have to go to my other side. But yeah, it'd be os.rb. That's what it's called, not platforms.os. GitHub. It's not giving me os.rb. Not a very good search. No, that's not the one. It's one of these. Oh, it could be that one. Right. So does it have, I mean, yeah, it doesn't have Rocky yet at all. So I don't know how it's going to, unless I don't know what Rocky reports back when it's like, which one does it call itself?
Yeah, I haven't checked the images yet. Perhaps they are reporting as CentOS or something like that. I should-
Yeah, perhaps they are.
I will give a check and see if it makes sense to add it or what.
Yeah. If it does work, then we can add that in as well. And that'll be good for getting ready for the future, if you like.
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. Thanks for joining today. And hopefully we'll catch up in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Cheers.
Okay. Stay safe.
Okay, you too.
See you around.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.